right, welcome in LSU fans to, I guess, the first edition of the Recruiting Pod. With me at least, on the Bengal Tiger podcast. My name is Bryce Kuhn alongside Shea Dixon. Shea, this is the first of what we hope to be a pretty fun series and talking some LSU recruiting, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. It has been on a heater, could continue to heat up as the season gets, man. But I'm pumped to be here, pumped to be alongside you and Bruni, and man, just getting ready for another year of coverage.
So that isn't Maddie B talking. As you say, the new recruiting pod, the LSU Recruiting Podcast, with yours truly, Shea Dixon, is still going. But we've given Maddie B a reprieve because Maddie B has to host every single podcast. If you guys don't know Bryce, he was at 24/7. He's been in the LSU market here for a bit now, but comes from the Peach State. Played ball in the Southeast. So you haven't ever left the Southeast, right? So I think you'll probably blend right in with everybody down here.
Yeah. No, okay. I mean, lived in Florida, Florida's not really the Southeast, I guess, but lived in Florida, lived in Alabama, and now been in Louisiana for 3 years. So yeah, man, I'm pumped to be here, excited to be here, and man, talk a little recruiting that's been pretty fun as of late, to be honest with you.
It has been. Where do we kick it off? Well, I did see Hayes Fawcett with On3 put out his top 10 wins of the summer, but Rivals did as well. Lamar Brown kind of was the front and center icon on that one, coming off the board. Not just a 5-star, but on the Rivals industry rankings, Bryce, number 2 overall player in the country, behind Jackson Cantwell, the offensive lineman. And he's ranked, we joke about this, ranked as an athlete. Not many 280-pounders get ranked as an athlete, but this is a guy that college coaches feel could play not just in the SEC, but on Sundays on the O-line or D-line. He's chosen D-line. We can expand on that a little bit here in a minute with more commitments to get on the D-line. But I was there at U High. It came down to LSU and A&M. And he announced for LSU. He was rocking, which I think a lot of people respected, the LSU baseball jersey. The button up, fresh off a natty. So that was an impressive hometown move. And look, I think this is twofold. One, you're getting a great player who, no doubt, I mean, for as long as he's been at U High, he's been a nationally recruited kid. Took a bunch of visits. LSU could have popped him when he was in 9th grade, but they knew, hey, look, let him make all of these visits, see everything, because, and I talked about it being twofold. The second part of that is so often, for people who don't understand, U High, where Lamar goes, it's on LSU's campus, but it's not just on LSU's campus. If you're a junior, senior, you're starting to take college courses. So they're already walking across campus and doing stuff at LSU. They practice and play next door to LSU's football operations building. Lamar Brown can hang out at LSU and did every day during the open contact period. He probably visited. When I asked him, he laughed kind of jokingly and was like, I don't know, since 500 times since 9th grade. So sometimes you see that, though. We saw it with Dylan Moses went to IMG, but his senior year. But guys in the past, Chris Allen, a number of others. Why am I blanking on most recently here? Some U High kids, Christian Harris went to Bama. A number of these guys had left the state into Bama to lock up a kid who, and you can understand it, Bryce. Like, I went to high school on this campus. Maybe I want to go see something else. He went and saw everything else and still chose LSU. That speaks volumes about where the program's at. The defensive coaches, the development he thinks he can get, all of the benefits of being a hometown guy. And look, even in the NIL era, Rev share all this, there's still that reality of development, where you want to play, and then that pitch for LSU, life after football, which we've seen a number of guys on staff right now who are former LSU players, including coaches on the field. And Kyle Williams, Corey Raymond, we could go down the list of opportunities you can get in life after football. So they went out for Lamar Brown. Boy, was that a big one, and kind of segues into what we're saying here next. But I don't know if you can say inarguably, because Texas fans, if they somehow listen to the podcast, would make a good debate as well. But coincidentally, the last 2 teams that Bo Davis was the D-line coach, now he's with the Saints, have the two best D-line coach classes in the country right now. I think LSU may have the best, but maybe I'm being biased. Richard Anderson is amazing coming out of Edna Carr. I think he will finish as the number one D-lineman. I really do. He's number 2 right now, a 5-star. If Lamar Brown weren't ranked as an athlete and he's the number 2 overall prospect and you just switched it to D-line, he'd be the number 1 D-lineman right now. Then you get into this wave of guys we talk about next, including another top 10 D-lineman, and you toss in some edge rushers. I can't remember a class that was this good, this top heavy even. We're not even talking about a bunch of guys that you're like, man, he's got some promise. These are proven guys that will help out early, get their feet wet as freshmen, and almost like a Don McKinley, right, coming out as a 5-star. Played some last year. Now he's set to start in his second year. I think these are those types of guys here. So kudos to the staff, Blake Baker, everyone who chips in here, all the way to Austin Thomas and kind of the GM personnel side of things, which are as important as ever. But to see Kyle Williams and Kevin Peoples, Kyle Williams just getting here in January and coaching the interior D-line, Kevin Peoples now in his second year, I guess, right? Second full year?
Or second full year,
Second full year. So this will be a second full year. Relationships are so big. For them to be able to forge those with all these guys, in addition to the rest of the staff's relationships, and gain that trust is huge. Obviously, signing day is still a few months away here, but you hold on to them. Bryce, you win in the trenches, right? They've always recruited O-line well. Now this is sort of the banner year for the D-line.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't know what you thought about it, Shea, like when they made the addition to bring Kyle Williams on, I mean, for a lot of fans, and I'm sure on y'all's board, on our board, I should say now, right? But on our board, people are probably kind of asking, okay, how do you set him up for success recruiting wise? Well, you organize NIL. You make sure that you've got your T's crossed and your I's dotted, so that a guy who maybe is not super familiar with, I don't want to say he's not super familiar, but hasn't done it before, you give him all the resources necessary that he can just be that relationship builder. I think that's huge. And, even speaking to like Deuce Gerald's a little bit, you mentioned earlier in the show when we opened it up, like I'm a Georgia guy. Deuce Gerald's plays at one of the premier high school programs in that state in Collinsville. I mean, that is a place like you kind of run off what they do. I mean, I've been to plenty of games up there and watched them play. Like you talk about proven, like that guy's going up against 6A talent in that state that's SEC, Big Ten caliber talent each and every single week. So I love the way they stacked it. And like you mentioned, man, I mean, you get McKinley, Darius McKinley there as well. Like I think that's a guy that maybe has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, just having his ranking drop down a little bit over the past 365 days. I like this class. And what is it? Is it really, and I ask you this, is it solely you feel like they just organize things so well to help support Kyle Williams in this new role and the rest of the staff? I mean, I don't know if people back in January would have said like, you're going to see a clean sweep of some of the big time targets they wanted.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that what you do is you give him help, like those relationships with Lamar Brown, with Deuce Gerald's. Deuce Gerald's goes back to his father playing at Scotlandville and signing with Frank Wilson at Ole Miss. Frank Wilson obviously being at LSU again as one of the better known recruiters, the modern era of recruiting, internet recruiting the past 20 years, when people have really started to pay attention to it, not have to rely on a magazine once a year or calling a phone hotline and getting the updates on it, which maybe we should start instead of a podcast. I'll just say everything on a recorded answering machine. You call it, it'll be there for you. But it's a combination of a bit of it all. But I don't think you can discredit Kyle Williams with the recruitment of these guys, nor Blake Baker or any of these staff members, off the field staff members. When you have directors of recruiting, Donovan Tate and J.R. Belton, and they've had some turnover there and had to hire new guys that they're bringing in, to still be able to do all this during that sort of transitional phase is big. And I think the bigger question with Kyle Williams was like, he's never coached before. Is that going to be an issue, let alone recruit? And I think people believed, he can recruit because he can pitch what he did, right? He came to LSU out of a big time high school. He had a lot of accolades. He went on to the NFL and became a stalwart for the Bills for, decades, and then retired. And he moves back home to Ruston. And coaches D-line, then becomes the DC. Ruston's been one of the best defenses in high school football in Louisiana for the past 3 years at least. And I'm not saying that's all Kyle Williams. I'm just saying he was a part of being around coaching then. And then I think he'll tell you, just from talking to other people who have had these conversations with him, when he's on the tail end of his career, he's the vet in that locker room. He's the leader on the team beyond a Josh Allen. Like Kyle Williams was the leader on the team. You're drafting Ed Oliver in the top 10, right? Coming out of A&M. He was coaching Ed Oliver up. They have a D-line coach, but he's like, look, I've done this my whole life too. I will help you out. I don't think that the coaching, and even more so, you have to remember, when you think D-line, you think, okay, you got a nose tackle, D tackle, you got some ends, you got some edge rushers. LSU splits those up. So Kevin Peoples handles D ends, edge rushers. Kyle Williams just has to focus on the interior of the D-line. That's his bread and butter. That's all he's done his whole life. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if those guys have great technique this year and aren't lining up 3 yards off the line of scrimmage and all of that. I think that they'll be technically sound, everything that comes with kind of the coaching side. And then I think that the recruiting side, Bryce, that he can kind of get the flow of it as everyone adjusts to. It's not just recruiting anymore. We have to also then play into this. Where does rev share fit in? What kind of NIL packages are they looking for? And then couple that with the development aspect, everything else. So LSU's cruising right now. And yes, kudos to the whole staff, but Kyle Williams, at least, if you want to call it on paper, however you want to call it, getting himself a couple of really nice D linemen here recently in the past, starting with Lamar Brown and then going into this past weekend with Darius McKinley. And then the following day, Deuce Gerald's beating out Oregon for Deuce Gerald's.
Yeah, man. I heard you talk about it. I think it was on the radio yesterday. And it's like anytime you beat out Phil Knight and what they got going up there in Eugene, like that's a big
the school's name's Oregon, but when you go up against him, it's Phil Knight in the NIL era, I think.
So yeah,
we did this time last year though. DJ Picket was Oregon, Miami, and those two schools. You could throw in an A&M maybe, and then there's some others that have great endowment and people really giving to the collectives and everything. But Miami and Oregon are two that feel like empty pocketbooks. And DJ Pickett picked LSU. DJ Pickett's going to start week 1 against Clemson. DJ Pickett was the number 1 corner in the country. He was built from a Corey Raymond lab, and Corey's connections from his time at Florida to coming back to his alma mater at LSU really set them up well there. So a year later, the buzz was around Oregon. All of a sudden, I said, hey, look, LSU's lurking. I'm telling you. They pull it off. They'd gotten it done a few days earlier. And you talk about dream school. They got a dream school win here. This is a kid who, he lives in Georgia, but no Georgia team was in his final group. So he was always he was pulling a Bryce. He was leaving the Peach State, right? Oregon was far away. I think distance kind of helped play in. If NIL and rev share is about all equal, then distance, family still in the Baton Rouge area from his dad going to Scotlandville, and then that dream school of, hey, I grew up around Baton Rouge area liking LSU. He was at the LSU camps every year. They were one of his early offers. So when you step back and look at it, it's not surprising that he picked LSU. But when you were in that thick of those final weeks and you're going up against Oregon, you're like, all right, well, this may go the other way. And kudos to LSU, it didn't. And now I can say you got 2 5-star D linemen in Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson out of Louisiana. You popped the highest ranked uncommitted Louisiana D lineman in Darius McKinley on Friday. Then on Saturday, you go out and get the only uncommitted top 10 D lineman in Deuce Gerald's. That's a hell of a run.
Yeah.
Let's then toss in Kevin Peoples going into Florida and getting 2 guys, D'Anthony Lafayette, a 4-star who probably had the best numbers of any of these guys that are committed to LSU as a junior. He'll be a senior this year, obviously. All of them will be. And then as well, Trent Henderson, who had every SEC offer. People really kind of weren't sure where he was leaning. Turns out he was like, hey, after I took my official visits, it was a no-brainer. I was going to LSU.
Yeah.
He's a top 10 edge rusher, top 50 overall prospect. This is exactly what you need to win in the trenches because they have done so well recruiting O-line in recent years. Brad Davis, Carl St. Cyr, who's kind of his assistant on the recruiting side, personnel side, and the staff as a whole. And I think that When you get Will Campbell drafted in the top 5, that doesn't hurt either when you're making the pitch, but they needed some D-line wins where you weren't going portal hunting every year, because that is one position where it's just not many guys out there. A Walter Nolan isn't in the portal every year. And if he is, he costs you $500 million. But, I'm exaggerating, but they're few and far between, right? It's such a premium position that stacking up on this number of guys that are that talented in high school to where you have them the whole time and develop them is massive. Guys, let's give Andy a shout out. Andy Luedecke, who everyone who listens to the recruiting pod here knows him. He runs My Perfect Franchise and he's been in the franchise business, Bryce, longer than Frank Wilson and all these guys have been coaching probably, but opened a number of franchises, still owns some, but shifted more than 10 years ago into being a consultant. And he has helped thousands and thousands. He's helped a number of people on the Bengal Tiger launch or get into different franchise businesses, start franchising, which, is a whole nother thing. But the big deal he does with us is you can call him. I'll give you his number here. I usually have it memorized by heart. Let me try it. 404-973-9901. I bet I got that right. I'll give it to you again. I was right. Oh my! It's in the era of, like, remember when everyone used to know everyone's number because you didn't have a cell phone, and now I'm not even sure. I know my wife's. I think my mom changed her number at one point, so I know her old number, which then that wouldn't help. 911 I've got. And then I've got Andy. So I always say if I'm in any trouble and my wife doesn't answer, or I don't want her to be the one I have to call, Andy's getting a call from me. So 404-973-9901. And then it's Andy, ANDY, at myperfectfranchise.net. If you just email him and reach out, say, hey, I was listening to the Bengal Tiger pod, the LSU recruiting podcast. I heard about you. Anything that you have from, I've got a job, but I need a side hustle. My kid's getting out of college. They don't know what to do or what they want to do yet. Or, hey, I'm just looking to diversify a bit. Or I'm retired and I need something to do. He's heard it all. It doesn't cost anything. You will never pay Andy a dime. Where Andy gets paid is if you see it all the way through, you make a deal with the franchise, that franchise will kick back Andy some money for bringing him the business. But he will walk you through. He'll hold your hand all the way through and kind of make it as seamless as possible for you, or just answer questions. Cost you nothing. So shout out to Andy for that. And as he wants us to continue to mention, I know we're out of baseball season, but Tigers won it all this year. He's a massive college baseball guy. Bryce, you played college baseball. Even at schools like LSU, even in the NIL and rev share era, you're not on full scholarship. You're on 10% scholarship, all of this, and you're looking for ways to make it up. So for any LSU deals he does with My Perfect Franchise, he's going to kick back some money to Jay Johnson to give into LSU's collective to go directly to baseball. So Andy is also out there making LSU baseball a stronger team, which hurts, I think, because he's a Longhorns fan. So, but does what he has to do. It's business. It's business, Bryce. But shout out to Andy. Give him a call again. myperfectfranchise.net. Email him, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net, ANDY, or give him a call, 404-973-9901. What do you want to talk about next?
How about Jayce Matthews? Man.
Well, he commits Friday. Today is August 6th. He commits the 8th, I believe. You spoke to him recently.
Yeah.
We know that he took this wave of let's really quickly go back. Jayce Matthews is Rivals' number 2 receiver in the country.
Yeah.
The number 1 receiver in the country is already committed to LSU. Tristan Keys. If y'all don't know where he went to high school, you know where I went to high school, Hattiesburg High. We walked through the same halls together. It's very different eras. A bit older than Tristan is. In fact, when I told him I went to Hattiesburg High, he did a double take. And you went to Hattiesburg High? Yes, I did. My name's not hanging up anywhere there. I don't even know if they gave me a diploma. No, I think they just told me to leave. But Tristan is a 5-star number 1 receiver in the country. It just so happens to be the number 2 receiver in the country is also out of Mississippi. LSU's recruited Mississippi really well, Bryce, here in recent years, including this year. I mean, they have Tristan committed. They've got a couple of high-level O-linemen, the top 2 ranked O-linemen in Mississippi committed. So they're grooving, right? And they've recruited the Pine Belt so well, dating back to P.J. Woodland at Oak Grove. They got Tyler Miller out of Laurel. They've gotten Bryson Cooley out of Laurel. They've gotten Tristan Keys out of Hattiesburg. And now they're trying to get back into Mississippi again with Jayce Matthews. I think he's coming out of Greene County. But a guy that, again, took these wave of officials. It's always been thought that Auburn was going to be the team to beat. And Auburn signed Deuce Knight at quarterback. They were in the same district. They're buddies. They're pitching him, obviously, on, hey, we need receiver help. They don't have the track record LSU does of what they put into the league here recently with Jamar and Justin Jefferson, and them having explosive careers to start off and signing multi-million-dollar deals. And then obviously seeing Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors go and have immediate success. And we'll see what this wave does this year with Garrett Nussmeier, but that's very attractive to these guys. So Jayce is also one where I can tell you the NIL and the rev share and all of that, it's been discussed, but it's further down the list. This is a kid, and Bryce, you can expand on this from just talking to him. Education's big, fit's big, relationships are big, development's big. He gets it. Right? Like, he is really going to think this one through. We've got 48 hours till he decides. We were in this spot with Deuce Gerald's where a few days out, it was kind of back and forth. Like, it's tough to call. You could say Auburn leads right now, but in 24 hours, LSU may lead and vice versa. So I do think this one kind of comes down to this dust settling and the night prior, him saying, this is for sure my decision. But I'm calling, I'll give it a 50-50 race right now, but I'll let you handicap it a bit after just talking to him in person. And I will give you this too, Bryce. This is an old recruiting trick because Bryce, or at least a tip, or a tell, I should say. If you reach out to a kid and you say, I'm doing an LSU article on you, and they don't respond, okay, maybe not a good thing, maybe doesn't want to talk. If he very quickly responds, gets on the phone and gives you a bunch of quotes, LSU's at least in it. I mean, he's not giving everybody out there quotes. So what stood out when you talked to him?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about there's much more than just the NIL aspect. When you have a kid of his caliber, he understands, and he kind of told me this, like, he and his family understand it's going to be a component and that he's, got the God-given talent to be able to benefit from where we are in college football. But his mom's plays a big role in this. She went on all the official visits with him. Like, that was something that was really a key piece. And she wants to feel comfortable in terms of his personal development. And he said education as well. So, just even talking with some people over on the Auburn side of things, man. I mean, Derek Nix, obviously Southern Miss guy, like playing a big
Legend.
role. Yeah, playing a big role in this for
he was at Ole Miss. He was
Yeah.
coaching at Ole Miss, recruiting Jayce Matthews. So now when he went to Auburn, as you said,
Yeah.
within the past year, he took over that recruitment there. So he's got a relationship with him dating back to Mississippi.
Yeah, and it's just I sit in the same like seat as you. I think this is 50-50. Jayce told me, and people can kind of go check out that conversation, but I'll tease it a little bit here. Like, he said as of Sunday morning, he did not have a decision down. He wanted it to be, known to him at least and his family on Tuesday night. But Shay, you've covered recruiting long enough. I've covered it enough where just because a kid says that they want that decision to be done so many, X days before, it can flip flop. Does he let the staff know, and that staff comes back with a counter, with what we're talking about now, or something to push, maybe them over the edge? I think this is a true, Auburn. LSU battle. I know the in-state school Ole Miss is still kind of involved in this, Texas A&M as well. But to me, man, Cortez Hankton has done a really good job, I think, of recruiting Jayce Matthews to the point, in spite of having a stacked wide receiver class. Like, we know what they have in state with some of these kids. You obviously have Tristan Keys. The natural reaction from a lot of fans and even maybe from some of the recruiting staff is kind of like, well, it's going to be hard to go get that kid because he's not going to be the alpha male. Well, when you're at a place like LSU where you've had multiple alphas and you also are, continuing to have the legacy of what they have in the NFL, like, I think LSU's maybe, if not the only, but one of the few programs that can say that doesn't matter here. Like, we can find ways to get you the football. And That's piqued an interest with Jayce. He even said he's not scared of the fact that Tristan Keys is committed there. That won't be a big reason
No.
if he doesn't choose LSU. That's not going to be the sole reason why.
And you throw in Jabari Mack and Kenny Darby, the two best receivers in Louisiana who are committed. LSU may already have the best receiver class in the country. You add Jayce Matthews and you go 1-2 at the top. That's insane. I'll wrap up this thought by saying, too, you mentioned Derek Nix, those ties. LSU did just hire Kevin Bolden, who helped recruit him at Ole Miss, but Kevin Bolden's a South Mississippi legend, too. I mean, he tore apart Gulf Coast, was a 1,000-yard receiver at Southern Miss. So he's got the receiver background. He knows Jayce and his family. And one more thing I'll toss in. So there was a symposium that went on for recruits. Jaden Daniels' mom was there, Regina. Tristan Keys, his mother, went with Jayce Matthews' mother, and both of them got some time with Regina, Jaden's mom. I posted that in some tidbits on the Bengal Tiger, but they got to answer a lot of questions that you can ask that maybe you didn't ask the coaches or you didn't ask everybody else, that you can talk mom to mom with, that I think kind of helped out. And I'm not saying it's going to push it over the edge, but I'm with you, boy. This is in a race that everybody once thought would be Auburn, LSU, here they come kind of thing.
Yeah. And back to that little tip that you had, he answered very quickly. So LSU is
there. You go.
There you go. That's all you need to know that right there. So
we do have another announcement later this month, August 22nd, Darius Gray. And I won't give it all away here, but on Rivals, Chad Simmons did an update today. He's had his pick in on South Carolina for a while. Wilt Fong, one of our other national analysts, everyone knows Steve and Chad, he's still got his pick on LSU. Tennessee's in this, Clemson, there's other teams, but it's going to be LSU or South Carolina. Darius Gray is the number one interior O-lineman, 5-star. South Carolina's been on him forever. LSU's been on him for a long time. Those are the two schools. He's still got a few weeks here, a couple of weeks more than that to decide, so nothing's set in stone yet. Doesn't shock me that Chad says, hey, look, right now I'm going to keep sitting on this South Carolina pick. But I can tell you that when LSU landed Deuce Gerald's, they turned that attention quickly, Jayce Matthews. When Jayce Matthews comes off the board in 48 hours, the attention will be turned to Darius Gray. And you've got 2 weeks to figure that one out. They've got a great O-line class already. Bryson Martinez, people forget about, right outside of Baton Rouge, is a top 15 offensive tackle. You got the number 1 and 2 offensive linemen out of Mississippi committed. You've got Jalen Chapman out of New Orleans. Can you add a 5-star piece like Darius Gray? We'll see. Still time to go, but definitely an LSU South Carolina race, which has been the case for a long time. But we'll have two more podcasts before we even get to them, Bryce, probably. So let's focus. First up, Jayce Matthews. That'll be the next one.
No, I'm with you. Darius Gray, fun guy. Talk to. Mentioned that he loves Brad Davis. A lot of guys that when you talk to
hell of a recruiter,
they love him. So, yeah, man. No, Darius Gray is a fun one. How about this last one as we wrap it up here, brother? 3 positions LSU will still look at for high school additions. A little quick take to end the pod here that we might not be talking about enough. Like, where do you start with it, Shea?
I think that's a good way to put it. The ones we aren't talking about enough, I think there's a reason we're not talking about it enough because they're being quiet about it. Quarterback is one. You don't want to go back-to-back cycles, even in the portal era, of not signing a high school quarterback. They had Bryce Underwood. He flips in the 11th hour to Michigan, and they didn't sign a high school quarterback. They went out and got a transfer in Michael Van Buren, who had started as a true freshman at Mississippi State. But you don't want to go back-to-back, like I said. You'd like to sign a high school guy. Because of Underwood flipping and recruiting starting so early with quarterbacks, it was kind of Bo Bentley who they had to chase because Bo had only started as a junior, so his recruitment was late. He ultimately picks OU over LSU. Where does LSU turn? I can tell you they've got a name in mind. They've been targeting him. They're being quiet about it for a reason. You're not seeing it written all over for a reason. That's when I'm watching. And then 2 other positions, tight end and running back. So I'll go all offense here, and 3 positions where they've yet to add a commitment at. So they don't want to have to portal hunt at all 3 spots. So I would look at tight end. I would look at quarterback, and I would keep an eye on who Frank Wilson might grab at running back.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Running back's intriguing, especially after the class that they just signed at that spot. I mean, there's some talented running backs that they've kind of liked, but, obviously hasn't panned out for them. And, Frank's real I don't want to say picky, but he's a little bit stingy with his offers in terms of who he wants to go down after at that spot. And then tight end's interesting, man, because I think everyone just assumes, well, it's Ahmad Hudson in 2027. So, what is the point of 2026? But you could have some serious attrition there where you could be looking up at next year's roster and see what would be Trades Green and JD LaFleur, and that could be potentially it, right? Because you have some guys that can leave. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do at that position as well, especially with Alex Atkins. That'll be his first, I guess, true recruiting cycle here at LSU.
Yes. Alex Atkins came from Florida State as one of the on-field hires when Nagel went and got the Houston OC job with Willie Fritz. And gosh, Bryce, it gets forgotten about a year ago. Alex Atkins was being talked about as one of the young up-and-comers as the OC and O-line coach at Florida State. To be able to get him after a bad Florida State season where they parted ways with some staff and have him as tight ends coach and also helping out with the O-line, that's massive. But like you said, he starts late in the game. This summer, he's meeting these tight ends all for the first time that are coming through on visits. I think next year we get to see what his recruiting chops are, but I won't be surprised if he flips a guy before signing day.
No, me neither. Everyone I've talked to about Alex Atkins that's either in Baton Rouge or elsewhere, they raved about LSU being able to get him. And I'll just say this, and maybe I'm being biased. I think Alex Atkins might have been the scapegoat for a lot of the problems in Tallahassee because that guy can coach.
There's a lot of problems they can spread around the blame there. So
no doubt about
1 in 11 or whatever.
No doubt about it. Well, Shea, first recruiting pod, they're in the books, man. We
said we'd keep it to 30 minutes, and we did.
We're not boring people to death, and that's what matters. But hey, we do appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like the stream or the video here on YouTube, or if you're listening to it in other podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you catch it. We appreciate the love there. And Shea, I think we also got a pretty good deal that people need to take advantage of there as well, which I was not even privy to before I joined you guys. But I've been an Athletic subscriber for quite some time, and now
there you go.
Man, it's good. You can welcome. You get a $1 promo for your first week. It's also going to get you a complimentary year-long subscription for the Athletic, which they do great work over there, and it's a good, fun partnership there too. So a lot of fun stuff that you can check out over the Bengal Tiger. Fall camp rolling along. Bruni and I'll have some stuff on Friday and Saturday. Then obviously, like you mentioned, Shay, some recruitments to watch, especially on Friday as Jayce Matthews will decide between Auburn and LSU, the Greene County, Mississippi receiver. But man, we appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks for watching. He is Shea Dixon. My name is Bryce Kuhn, and we'll catch you next time here on the Bengal Tiger Podcast.
Later.